Poor girl with her baby gets rejected at checkout. Suddenly, the Millionaire CEO steps forward and says, "The sky was heavy with mist as a light, cold drizzle fell over the city. Streetlights flickered on early, casting a yellowish hue on the wet sidewalks. Ella Harper stepped off the bus, holding her daughter's small hand, guiding her across the parking lot of the neighborhood grocery store. Chloe, just 3 years old, skipped beside her, her blonde curls bouncing from underneath a knitted cap. Her coat was 2 sizes too big, and her boots had started to come apart at the soles, but she didn't seem to notice. "Are we getting a birthday cake, Mommy?" she asked, looking up with bright eyes. Ella forced a smile, though her stomach was knotted. "We'll see, baby. Maybe something small." Her hand instinctively reached into her coat pocket, feeling the folded bills. $12, the last of what she had after rent and utilities. Every penny had been counted, recounted, and stretched to make tonight happen. Inside, the grocery store buzzed with noise. Carts rolling, scanners beeping, the distant hum of pop music through low-quality speakers. Warm air brushed against their faces, a sharp contrast to the damp chill outside. Ella steered Chloe through the aisles with careful steps. In the dairy section, she picked up a small carton of milk. At the fruit display, she selected a modest bunch of bananas, not too ripe, not too green. "Mommy, look!" Chloe suddenly pointed toward the bakery section. Ella turned and saw what her daughter had spotted. A single cupcake in the display case, pink frosting with rainbow sprinkles, and a little plastic candle stuck in the center. "That one's perfect," Chloe said, bouncing on her toes. Ella hesitated, checking the price, $1.99. She added it up in her head. Milk, bananas, cupcake. It would be close, but if nothing had gone up in price, she might just make it. "All right," she said gently. "Let's get it." Chloe grinned, clapping her mittens together. At the checkout, Ella placed the items on the belt, milk, bananas, cupcake, and watched as the cashier, a young man with earbuds dangling around his neck, began scanning. He didn't look up when he spoke. $13.47. Ella blinked. That was higher than she had calculated. She opened her purse and took out the crumpled $12 she had saved. Then, biting her lip, she dug into the zippered pocket for coins. She found quarters, nickels, dimes, even a few pennies. She counted slowly, laying them on the counter. Her hands trembled slightly as she worked through the change. The cashier stared ahead, chewing gum. A line began forming behind them. Ella counted again. She was short by a little over $1. Her heart dropped. She looked up at the cashier. I think I'm just a bit short. Maybe I could—" The boy sighed and cut her off. "If you don't have enough," he said, voice flat and bored, "I have to cancel the order." Ella swallowed hard. "Please, today is her birthday." Her voice was barely audible. Chloe stood silently beside her, holding on to the edge of her mother's coat. The cashier didn't respond. He just waited, one hand hovering near the cancel button on the screen. Behind her, Ella heard a cough. Someone tapped their foot. A woman sighed impatiently. She could feel the stairs now, like tiny pins pressing into her back. Shame crawled up her neck. Ella looked at the cupcake, then at her daughter, then back at the few coins left in her hand. She turned slightly, her eyes stinging. She was about to speak, or maybe just leave, when her voice caught in her throat. She started to gather the items from the counter, preparing to walk away and leave everything behind. Jason L. Carter had no intention of being noticed that evening. Dressed in a plain black coat with a scarf around his neck, he looked like any other tired customer ducking in to grab something quick. That was exactly how he preferred it. As CEO of one of the largest supermarket chains in the state, Jason often visited store locations unannounced, no cameras, no security, just observation. Though he had built an empire, he'd grown up with nothing. Shelters, scraps, hunger. That history never left him. He stood at the end of an aisle, a bottle of water and an apple in hand, when he heard a cashier speak, flat and disinterested. "If you don't have enough, I have to cancel the order." Jason glanced over. At the register stood a young woman, thin, soaked from the rain, clutching a small girl's hand. On the counter sat a carton of milk, bananas, and a single pink cupcake. The woman was fumbling with coins, her cheeks flushed. The little girl looked up at her, confused. The moment was heavy. A man behind them sighed, another shifted impatiently. Jason didn't hesitate. He stepped forward, pulled out his black metal card and tapped it against the reader. The beep was immediate. Transaction approved. The cashier blinked. The woman froze. Jason looked at her and spoke quietly, firmly. No child should cry on their birthday. He handed the cupcake to the little girl. "Happy birthday, sweetheart." Her face lit up, hugging the cupcake like treasure. "Thank you." The woman looked stunned. I didn't ask." Jason raised a hand gently. "You didn't have to." He passed her the groceries. "Take care of each other." Then he turned and began to walk away. Behind him, the mother whispered, "Thank you," so softly it barely reached him. As she gathered her daughter and turned to leave, another sound stopped the room, a soft clatter on tile. An elderly woman, hunched and slow, had dropped her coin purse, a handful of change scattered across the floor. People walked around her, no one stopped. Except Ella. Still holding Chloe's hand, she knelt down beside the woman without hesitation. "Let me help." The woman gave a shaky smile. "These old fingers just don't listen anymore." Ella picked up every coin, then gently pressed them into the woman's palm. The cashier called out, $2.25. The woman counted her change. "Oh, I'm short. I can just leave it." Ella paused, reached into her coat pocket. She pulled out the last of her change, 2 quarters and a nickel, almost all she had left. She placed them on the counter without a word. "Now you're not," she said, smiling. The old woman blinked, surprised. "Are you sure?" Ella nodded, her voice soft but steady. "Enjoy your dinner." Across the store, Jason had stopped. He had seen everything. Ella lifted her daughter into her arms again, kissed her forehead and walked away, not for recognition, but because it was the right thing to do. She didn't know anyone was watching, but Jason was. And what he felt wasn't pity, it was something deeper, something like respect. She hadn't asked for help, she'd been humiliated, but still found the grace to give. Jason stepped forward again, slower this time. Ella looked up, surprised to see him return. He pulled a business card from his coat pocket, black, simple, his name embossed in silver. He held it out to her. "If you ever need help, real help, call me. Not because I feel sorry for you, but because I believe in people like you." Ella stared at the card. Her hand trembled slightly as she took it. "I don't know what to say," she whispered. Jason looked down at Chloe, who was still hugging the cupcake close to her chest. "Just say happy birthday," he said with a quiet smile. And then he walked away. The rain had not stopped. It tapped steadily against the cracked window pane of the small apartment, folding itself into the silence like a tired lullaby. Ella sat at the edge of the narrow bed, still in the damp clothes from earlier. The flickering ceiling light cast broken shadows across the peeling wallpaper. Chloe was asleep, curled beneath a thin blanket, her arms wrapped tightly around a pink cupcake she had refused to let go of. Ella leaned down, brushing damp curls from her daughter's forehead. She kissed her gently, then stood and crossed the room to check the door. An envelope had been slipped through the mail slot, plain, heavy. She opened it carefully. Termination notice. Effective immediately. Violation of equipment handling policy. Her chest tightened. She hadn't broken anything. An old desk lamp had shattered during her shift, and though she hadn't even been near it, her supervisor blamed her. She'd seen it coming, he never liked her. But still, the words on the page hit like a blow. Her hands trembled as she sat back down on the bed.